Is honesty always a good thing? It sounds like a strange question because we are taught from a very young age that honesty is a virtue. We praise it, we demand it from others, we claim we value it, and yet in practice, honesty has gotten me into trouble more times than I can comfortably admit. Because the truth is, people often say they want the truth, but they rarely want the consequences of it. There's a saying that the truth is bitter. However, what we do not always examine is who that bitterness is really for and who ends up paying the price for it. That is what I want to explore in this video. Not whether honesty is good or bad in some abstract moral sense, but when honesty is wise, when it is selfish, and when silence may actually be a more responsible choice. Some years ago, I was in a relationship that lasted 5 years. It was serious, long term, and deeply emotional. During that relationship, I cheated multiple times. What is important to clarify, however, is this: my ex never caught me red handed. There was never undeniable proof, I wasn't caught pants down or anything like that. No dramatic exposure, no moment where I was forced into the truth. Instead, what existed was suspicion. She would notice messages, patterns, behaviors, and sometimes she would have dreams that I had cheated. Other times, she would simply feel something was off. She was a smart girl. On certain occasions, she confronted me, and when she did, I denied it. I gave explanations that were believable, and she accepted them. But with every denial, something inside me worsened. The guilt did not disappear when I lied. It accumulated quietly, heavily, relentlessly, and when it became unbearable, I confessed. Sometimes I confessed after she expressed suspicion. Other times I confessed when she had no suspicion at all. There were moments when I voluntarily revealed everything, not because I had been caught, but because I could no longer tolerate the weight of knowing. Each confession, followed a similar pattern. She would cry deeply, repeatedly. There would be shock, anger, disbelief. Then came a long period of awkwardness, emotional distance, and pain. On my side, there was repentance, reassurance, and promises. Eventually, we would reconcile. This cycle happened multiple times, sometimes because I had physically crossed a line again, other times because I resumed inappropriate conversations with someone I had cheated with in the past. Each confession reopened wounds that had barely begun to heal. Over time, something changed. Each confession took a little more from her. The love did not disappear immediately, it eroded slowly, painfully, until affection became bitterness. Although other factors contributed to the end of the relationship, this pattern was its emotional core. The repeated exposure to pain exhausted her capacity to love me. And that is when I began to understand something I had not seen before. When I later spoke to friends about the relationship and explained that she had never actually caught me with solid evidence, many of them reacted. They didn't believe me. They told me I was foolish. They said I had successfully gotten away with it. And they asked why I would confess something that no one could prove. At the time, I saw myself differently. I believed I was courageous. I believed I was honest. I believed I was strong enough to face the consequences of my actions. And in a sense, that was true, but it was not the whole truth. What I eventually understood is this: I had a stomach for consequences, but I did not have patience to hold myself back. I did not confess because I loved honesty. I confessed because I disliked the stress of deception. I did not enjoy lying, remembering stories or maintaining appearances. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that. Carrying secrets made me restless and uncomfortable. Confession gave me relief. But that relief came at a cost, and that cost was paid by someone else. Instead of dealing with my shortcomings at their roots, I chose the easier path. I offloaded my guilt. I transferred my internal comfort outside. I told myself I was being brave, but I failed to observe what my honesty was doing to her. In that sense, my honesty was not an act of fear, it was an act of self regulation. This pattern did not exist only in my romantic life. I noticed it in how I spoke more generally. I often prided myself on saying what everyone else was thinking but was too afraid to say. Telling someone they had body odor, telling someone they were unattractive, stating awkward truths, and excusing the insensitivity by saying, "It's the truth." I'm sure you know someone that does that. I told myself I was brave. I told myself I was honest. I told myself others were simply cowardly. But with time, I began to recognize something uncomfortable. Truth without care is not virtue, it is aggression disguised as morality. Saying the obvious does not automatically make you wise, and being willing to hurt people does not make you courageous. As I grew older, my thinking changed. I became more attentive to what my words actually did to people, not just what they represented philosophically. I began asking myself different questions before speaking. Is anyone being harmed by the lie? Will the truth relieve suffering or create it? Is anyone asking for the truth? Am I speaking to help someone or to unburden myself? And I realized something important. Not all honesty is necessary, especially when it helps no one. There are times when telling the truth is essential, when silence protects injustice, when lies actually harm someone, when an innocent person is being punished for something they did not do. But then there are also times when silence preserves peace, when truth only satisfies the conscience of the speaker, when no one is being harmed by the absence of disclosure. In those moments, silence is not cowardice, it is restraint. I now believe honesty must be paired with responsibility. Truth should serve a purpose beyond self relief. It should protect, heal, or prevent harm. If it does not do any of those things, then it is worth questioning whether it needs to be spoken at all. Likewise, integrity is not measured by how boldly we confess our failures. It is measured by how rarely our actions create damage that requires explanation. Maturity lies not in saying everything we think, but in controlling both behavior and speech with intention. So, is honesty always the right thing? I do not think the answer is simple. Honesty without wisdom can become cruelty. Silence without integrity can become deceit. The deeper goal is not constant truth telling, but becoming the kind of person who does not need to manage secrets, confess repeatedly, or relieve guilt through speech. Someone whose life causes less harm and therefore demands fewer explanation. That to me is what real honesty looks like. If you have thoughts on this, I would genuinely like to hear them. Where do you draw the line between honesty and restraint? And when do you believe silence become more ethical? Respond in the comments section. Thank you for watching.